Hello, Kevin here with Kevin's Way Works. So it's about 91 degrees Fahrenheit right now, but the weather says it feels like 107. Doesn't feel too bad to me, especially when the breeze is going, but I'm sure we're gonna get hot and sweaty as we start working on this guy. So right here I have my 2016 Chevy Malibu, and the problem with this vehicle today is the batteries and all the tire pressure sensors are bad. And the only way to fix that is to replace the entire tire pressure sensor. So let's go ahead and get the old ones out and let's get some new ones in. So the first thing you really should do is set your parking brake. And to do that, there's a foot pedal right here. Just push down on it until it's all the way down. Easy as that. All right guys, I have you positioned at the passenger side rear of the vehicle. We're gonna go ahead and jack this up, get this wheel off, and we'll take out that wheel sensor and put a new one in. Okay guys, these don't really have the best of jacking locations unless you're just using the jack that came with the car. And those go in these little cutouts, but they don't sit in this area and they don't actually sit on the frame pinch weld. Where they actually sit is up behind here on this metal spot right here. And that's right behind that cutout. And so what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take a block of wood, I'm gonna place it right on that reinforced area there, and I'm gonna jack it up with my long reach floor jack. Other place to do it, see where that lower control arm is bolted in? That's a good place to jack it. My jack can't reach under there, so there's nothing I can do about that. So we can't use that location, and that's the only other location in the rear that you're really supposed to use. So we're gonna use that area at that cutout, and we'll get this guy jacked up. So here we go. Got my block of wood. Kind of get this lined up. Right about there. Make sure we're sitting right where we want to be sitting. Go ahead and give it a few cranks. It doesn't take much with this jack. Just a couple cranks and the thing's off the ground. All right, let me get my trusty rolly chair. Now, something I need to tell you guys about these lug nuts. These are the ones that are clad. So there's a nut underneath and it's got this fancy cladding over it. Well, somebody went to town on this one and got it all dented up and mangled. And so it's really hard to get the properly sized socket on here because of that. So the right one, which is a 19 millimeter, it'll go on some of them, and other ones it only goes part way, and other ones won't go in at all. So these feel okay. We'll go ahead and take them off with the 19. We're going to break them free by hand, and we'll get them off and get that wheel off. Okay, let's get you guys turned so you can see. Because you're not really where you're supposed to be. There you go, there you go. That looks good. So if I remember correctly, these are 100 foot-pounds, so they shouldn't be too bad to remove them. Yeah, they just break free like butter. And that's because I was the last one to work on this. And so they're properly torqued. All right, that's good enough. So now what we're gonna do, just bring it off the ground just a little bit. That should be good, and if you want to, you can double check your jack. Take a peek at it. Looks perfect. Now, you really should use a jack stand as well. And you could use that spot underneath the lower control arm for that. I'm gonna spin these off with my impact. just because it's a lot quicker that way. Otherwise, you'll just have to manually remove them with a wrench, socket, anything else you can find that works. There that is. Okay. Now, since we live in the South, we don't have rust on our vehicles down here. This thing should come right off. Some places you may have to give it a few kicks with your feet on the edge of the tire to get it to come off. Be careful, you don't want to knock it off the jack. So like I said, in this case, they just come right off here. While that's off, I'm going to come over here and inspect my brake pads. Can't see back in there, mostly because I don't have my glasses on. Be careful up under here if you do this, because if you don't have a jack stand under it, you don't want to get your body down under there. All right, so they're both pretty good. They're, I don't know, 3/8 of an inch left on the pads, so there's a pretty good amount left on the pads. Everything else looks good. One of the joys of not having rock salt. All right, inspection's done. Let's remove the air from the tire. All right, guys, so you're gonna see a whole bunch of videos on YouTube where they take these tires and they put them underneath a car and they use a jack to break the bead. I do not recommend doing that. That is a real good way to damage the sidewall of the tire, because you really have to push down on the bead itself to be able to properly push it off the wheel. And to do that, a long time ago, I bought this Harbor Freight tire changer. And so this is just a manual tire changer. You can use it to remove and install tires. You can use it to break the bead with this guy. I've also bought a modification for this to where you have one of those duck bills that are touchless. So you can take your tires off, put new ones on, and it doesn't scratch the wheels. And I've actually used that on the low profile wheels on my Dodge Challenger. No issues whatsoever. They came off just fine. They went on just fine. And I never even got them balanced. They are smooth as glass. You can be going 75 on the highway and they are totally smooth. So this is actually just freestanding right now. And I don't know if you can see it on camera, but I have these inserts into the concrete. Basically, you just drill a hole, you put the insert in, and it has a little tool, and you pound on it with a hammer, and it pushes out, I don't know, it pushes a bar down into the middle and pushes it outward, and it grips onto the concrete with thousands of pounds of force. And so then what you do, take this guy, get it lined up, get yourself some appropriately sized bolts, and just install them. So I'm going to start just loosely screwing them in, like so. And the reason I'm doing it loosely is because these holes need to be a little bigger, since I'm not exactly lined up 100% with the center of the inserts. Sometimes they're hard to tighten unless you stagger them. I think I already opened them up a little bit, actually. That might be why they're a lot easier now. Guys, it is hot out, and it's only beginning of June. It is hot out. I am sweating. I usually would have a fan going, but then I have to spend a couple hours removing the fan noise from the videos. And even then, it's always not perfect. You still might have artifacts. All right, guys, now I have you set up on my outdoor workbench, aka trash can with a cover on it. So what we're gonna do, take our wheel, set it up there. Let's go in for a better look. How's that? Is that good? All right, let's go ahead and take this cap off. These are just fancy aluminum ones. I guess the former owner put those on. Run over to either the auto parts store or probably Walmart or online. Your online store that's your favorite. Get yourself one of these. And what this does is this end removes the valve cord. This end is for pulling the valve stem into place. And these guys are for cleaning up the screw in the center. Very versatile little tool. So what we're going to do is we're going to unscrew that valve because we need to take all the air out of the tire. So let's go ahead and unscrew this and make sure you hold on to it while you're doing it so it doesn't go flying. It's going to be pretty loud. So hopefully you can see that with my fingers in the way. Still not out. That whistle is loud. There's your valve core. Ah! Oh no! Don't lose your valve core. That's how it works. Sounds watery. Must have a lot of moisture in it. Fudging airplane going overhead. Airplanes are just terrible here. We're so close to the airport and we're right in their takeoff path. All right, all the air is out. And I don't know if you guys have already picked up on this. Some of you may have. This tire is 10 years old. It needs to be replaced. And since my son drives it, I'm not going to do it myself. I'm going to take it to one of the tire places and we're going to get new tires for him. This thing is actually almost 10 years old, which is right at the end of useful life, if not past it. So anyhow, what we're going to do now is break the bead on this guy. So let me get you guys set up so you can see how that's done. All right, hopefully that's a good shot right there. Now, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take this tarp and I'm just going to fold it up in half, quarter, I don't know, maybe by eighths. You can use a towel if you have one, like a bath towel. And the reason for this is just to protect the wheel so it doesn't get scratched up. Go ahead and set your wheel on here so the edge of the back of the wheel is on that little triangular lip. Get it kind of squared up properly. Keep it away from the tire pressure sensor because you don't want to be pushing down on that and getting it all jammed up and broken, especially if it's a new one or when you're just replacing the tire and you don't want to damage the sensor. So it's always a good idea to keep it rotated out of the way. Grab yourself a rag, set it right about there. You're going to protect the wheel from getting damaged by this tool right here. Okay, so now what you're going to do, put your little arm in here. Take this edge of this spoon, just push it down a little bit, make sure it's right around the edge of the lip of the tire and the wheel. And then I'm just going to put a little pressure on the tire and wheel assembly, and I'm just going to press down just a little bit, and I'm going to watch it as I'm doing it, because if it looks like it's starting to slide back, I'm going to stop and I'm going to push forward on it. But as you can see, that broke free real easily. And I like to keep a bungee on here, a bungee cord, because then it holds that up so it doesn't slam down on your wheel. All right, now that that's done, you can come around and just start using your foot and your shoe and just start pushing it off the wheel the rest of the way around until it's completely free. And there you have it. So let me get you set back up on the outdoor workbench. All right, let's get this wheel up here and then we'll figure out the best way to position it so we can get that sensor out. I'm thinking right there. What you guys think? I should give you a good view of what we're about to do. Perfect. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is make sure that this tire is below the bead down on this side. And to do that, you may need to stick like a rag or something down there to hold it out of the way. And the reason for that is as we go ahead and we push down in here and we try to shove our piece of wood in there, we need to have that free or else it fights against us. So I'm just using a scrap piece of 2x4, like so. I'm gonna take my elbow, put it right on here, and then I'm gonna push down with all my weight and get this down in there, just like so. So that one is in place. And then on this side, we're gonna do the same thing, except I have 2 3/4 inch pieces of wood, and I'll show you why in just a second. So I'm gonna turn this a little bit because the camera's right there and I can't get to it. So I'm gonna turn it and we're gonna get that other one in place. Gonna do the same thing right here. Gonna come over right about here. Push down with your elbow. Push those blocks of wood right in place. And also, after you've done that, make sure that this is all the way down, and that just gives you more room on this side to work. So I'm gonna show you a trick that I'll sometimes do with these. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this block of wood, I'm gonna place it down in here like so. And if you need to, you can get a clamp for this, because what we're gonna do is we're gonna squeeze this together, and then we're gonna squeeze this block of wood up and in here, like so, because that just gives us more room over here to work. Just like that. Hopefully that's visible. Ooh, it's kind of dark. I'm gonna get you guys set up in the sun. All right, guys. So to do this, you need a T10 Torx. For this particular one, this is a T10 Torx. So we're gonna try this a couple ways. Since I have enough room, I'm gonna use a ratchet with a 1/4 inch socket and then a T10 Torx. Now, before we do that, it's always a good idea to stick a rag down in here the best you can, just in case anything falls, it'll get caught, and then you'll be able to get to it. So let's see if we can get this guy with the socket. We might have to push down pretty tight to get it in there. It's gonna be a little difficult because the tire is pressing on the back of the socket, back of the ratchet, and undoing it. So that's one way to do it. Now, if you need to, and if you have enough room, you can take your 2x4 over here and you can turn it like so. And that should give you loads of room. So let's go ahead and try that. Oh yeah, look at that. So now you can go ahead and just spin that screw out. Easy as that. And see how I let that drop in there and it got caught by the rag, so it didn't get lost. And so now you can take this out. And then there's a couple things you can try to do. So I can bring you up here, guys. So what you can try to do right now is grab yourself some pliers or some cutters that can grip onto here. Take your rag, place it on here, and take your cutters and leverage that out, and I'll show you what I mean. So here's some cutters, and then you're gonna take your rag, place it right there, take your cutters, grab a hold of your valve. Actually, that's not a good view. Let me give you a better view. The problem is you just can't see under here. I want you to be able to see under here. So like that. And you see your valve sticking out down here. You get a good grip, and as you're pulling, You can pull it through sometimes, just like that. And so you can see how that was able to pull all the way through, and it did tear it some down there on the bottom. So that's one way you can do it. Let me show you another way. All right, guys, I reinstalled it so I can show you another way to pull this out. And it's going to be along the same lines, but instead of using clippers like this, you're going to screw on your installation tool like that. You're going to protect your wheel with a rag, and then take yourself a wrench like this. This is a 15 millimeter. Put it right there like that, and pry it up and out. So as you can see, this one's ripping. I'm going to go get another one so I can show you a couple other tests. Actually, let's just go ahead and use this one because I really only have one more test to show you. All right, guys, I am having a difficult time because of the sun. I need the sun, but it's too bright for the camera, or any camera. I've tried a couple, and they do not like the sun. They just overheat. So what I've done is I've temporarily reinstalled the tire pressure sensor, the old one. Make sure you're using the old one and not the new one, because what we're about to do is going to be destructive. So there it is right there. I'm going to install it temporarily. Let's just go ahead and get this installed. Just need my rag so I don't damage my wheel. So I'm just pulling it through to simulate it being installed. Well, actually it is installed. All right, so now it's installed. And battery's dead. There's nothing we can do with these. They're trash, right? So let's remove it. So grab yourself some pliers. Seriously. Grab yourself some pliers. Break it off. Just bust it right off. You're going to leave some plastic on. That's perfectly fine. Hopefully that'll be able to see that. So I busted it off. So this is just going to make it easier to be able to work in there to get that screw out if you want to. And if you don't want to take the screw out, I'll show you another way you can get it out. So what you're going to do, grab yourself a knife. All right. Now carefully, because you don't want to scratch all the paint off of the wheel, you're going to come up in here like this. You're just going to cut. You're going to turn. You're going to cut some more. And just keep doing this until this rubber thing is completely cut off. So you're just basically trying to remove this rubber lip. And if you didn't get it all, here, make sure you put your rag down in there, okay? Don't forget your rag like I did. Now, luckily, most of this stuff, except for the plastic, is all magnetic. Even the sensor itself, it has metal in it, and you can just fish it out with a magnet. But why do that if you don't have to? So just keep cutting around this until you have all of it removed, and then just pull that off and throw it away. So now what you can do is you can almost pull this out by hand. Sometimes you get a piece of plastic and it won't come through, but it also makes it so you can tilt it back way more easily and get your tool up in there to unscrew that Torx. Another trick, wrap tape around here, and that way your bit can't fall out. But now you can see how that's tilted out. You can way more easily work on it with your socket and your Torx tip. But anyway, that's just another tip from Kevin. So now, if you don't have this tool here, and you really do need this tool because you're going to be reinstalling your valve stem if you're not using the one that you actually can screw in multiple pieces, and I'll show you what that looks like in a little bit. I'm not actually going to use it on this system because the first one I installed, I did not have one, so I just installed the rubber valve stem. And so I figured I didn't want to take it out. I'm just going to use the rubber one for the rest of them. So let's go ahead and get this screwed on. You can't see it, I don't think. Let me raise you guys up so you can see what I'm doing here. It's amazing how quickly the camera overheats in the sun. And I'm just using my old Samsung Galaxy S9 right now because my DJI kept overheating too. And it doesn't have zoom. This one does. So I'm just going to use the wrench. I already showed you how to use the cutters, but I'm just going to use my wrench. And careful to make sure you're not on your paint, and just pull it through. And so that's what you're left with. That's what you're left with, and it pulls right through. And like I said, if you need to, you can break the rest of that off to make it small enough, or you can unscrew that a lot easier once you have all that stuff cut off. So that's just some tips and tricks I've learned over the years from doing this, and it helps out a whole lot. These are the metal valve stems I was talking about that are two-piece. And so this little rubber guy goes on here. This stem goes in under here. This one screws on from the outside, and you just screw this in with a particular torque. And it does have the torque information on here, I believe. Can't really read it with my eyeballs. And you can also go look up this part on their website, and you can find the instructions there. And also, and I may have mentioned it in a previous video, or actually beginning of this video, don't recall now because I filmed them at different times. See how you got a screw there? This right here is not threaded. It is supposed to be that way. This screw has a little end on it that is made to thread its own threads in there. There's a TSB on this because so many people were returning these because they said they didn't have threads. They're not supposed to have threads in there. So anyway, that's 34000, and that's a Schrader. So in case you're working on this exact vehicle, there's the part number. This is Schrader brand, 29086. These actually are the same ones I believe on my Enclave and many, many other GM vehicles, and also other manufacturers use the same things. So a lot of them are compatible even if they're not the same number. But what I like to do is I just go on Schrader's website and I punch in my vehicle information, and it tells me exactly what I need. Or I go on AC Delco, or I go on any other site that will give me the correct information. You got to be careful. Some of the sites give you the wrong information. Like they may give you a part that's the wrong frequency for your vehicle, and no other vehicle of your particular model even use that frequency. So make sure you always double and triple check. All right, let's get you tilted down. So what we're going to do now is install the new sensor. So here is the new sensor. I'm going to go get some of my tire installation lube, and I'm going to put a little bit around here just to make it easier to install. And the good thing about these rubber ones, they already come assembled. You don't have to do anything. You don't have to screw anything in. They're already assembled and ready to go. Uh-oh. Alrighty, put your rag down in there so it doesn't drop down inside. Take your sensor, stick it up in the hole like so. Take your install tool, screw it on to the end. I don't know if you guys can see that. Let's make sure you can see that. I don't know why you guys are so low. There you go. Now you guys can see. So, got your sensor, got your install tool, which is, this one seems to be difficult to line up, but get it kind of lined up. Make sure your sensor's facing the right way. you want it to kind of hug the inside of the wheel. Take your appropriately sized wrench. Protect the lip of your wheel so you don't damage it. Place that like that. So hopefully that shows up properly on video. Make sure your sensor's facing the correct direction. And just pull back. And it'll just be like snap right in like butter, guys. It just, easy as that. It's like you can barely have to exert yourself in any way. So that's in there good. That's not going to go anywhere. Take your little valve cord tool off. And it's installed. You guys did it. Awesome. All by yourself. Okay. What we're going to do now is we're going to remove these blocks of wood because we don't need them anymore. So let me kind of pull you guys back. Pull you guys back. I think that looks good. And we can start with either one, it doesn't matter. Just go ahead and start pulling pieces out. Not going to hurt anything if you get a little bit of dust in there. People actually install beads into their wheels in their tire assembly because they think it can balance it. I don't think that works with car tires. It may work with certain tires. But anyway, like I said, I don't even have my tires on my Challenger balanced. And that thing is smooth as glass at all speeds. Now for this one, just tilt it back down, pull it out if you did what I did with mine. All right, the next step to the process is to get the tire seated against the wheel so it'll hold air, so it'll inflate, and it will push itself back up onto the wheel itself. So we need to get that bead set, and let's go ahead and do it. So the easiest way to get the bead set is to remove the valve core. So let's go ahead and remove the valve core. Trying to do this left-handed, one-handed. I'm not a lefty. Take your valve core. This is the new one, so set it aside where you won't lose it. You don't want to drop it on the ground and get a bunch of dirt in it either, so set it away where it won't get damaged. Preferably not alongside the wheel like I did. Put it somewhere else. Oh, and if you're like me, try to remember where you put it, because I spend more time looking for my tools and parts than I do actually installing the parts and using the tools. Now what we're going to want to do is we're going to kind of push this tire back into place because it's been pushed down for a little while. It's kind of sagging a little bit. So what I like to do is just take my hands, smack it around the sides. That usually helps seat it enough. Another way you can do it is you can take one of those ratchet straps and you can wrap it around there and just give the ratchet a few clicks, and that'll help push it in, which helps push the sides out. So let me go ahead and get my air compressor going and we'll get this guy blown up. Wow, guys, it takes forever for that thing to fill up. So I'm using a 60-gallon air compressor, but you can actually use a pancake compressor for this. It'll work just fine. Just make sure it's cranked all the way up so it's putting out as much volume as it can. So I'm going to be using my Astro pneumatic air filler. This thing is great. It's like the best tire inflator I've ever had. And so we're just going to pop it on like so. And if you want to, you can turn it on. We're going to display PSI. So let me get to where you can see what's actually happening. So we're going to fill this up as quick as we can, and we're going to listen to see if we think that this bead has seated. You'll know it's seated when you stop hearing air come out. If you're filling it with air and you can still hear hissing, then it's obviously not filling. So let's go ahead and pull the trigger. Oh yeah, so we're seated fine. You can see we've already gone into place right here. Do not stick your fingers down in here at all. Do not put your arm on it, lean against it. You do not want to have any part of your flesh or your digits pinched in there. It will not feel good and you're not going to be able to get them out. So let's go ahead and get this thing in. And there it goes. So I'm going to stop right there. If you want, you can just take this off and let all the air leak out and then put your valve core in and then start again. I like to just stick the valve core in while it still has the air in it. You just got to be careful. You don't want that valve core to go shooting out. So I've got the tool, I've got the core. So I'm going to take this off. I'm just going to put my finger over it. It's only 11 pounds of pressure, 12 pounds of pressure. It's not going anywhere. Put that in like that. Take your tool, get your tool positioned properly, and then just start spinning it in. Just be careful. If you don't have it started yet, be careful because you don't want it to go flying. You'll never find it. Now tighten this up, but don't over tighten it. You don't want to go all crazy on it. You know, no gorilla tightening here. Just give it a little bit of snug, little snuggy. And now you're going to fill it to what the door plate on your car says. This one says 35 PSI. So we're going to fill this to 35 PSI. So right now we're at 10. And actually, this has a light on it too. Just trying to get it to where there's no glare. 23. Don't overfill it. Just go to what it says on your door plate. I'm going to purposely go over because I want to show you how this tool works. So on this tool, when you pull the trigger part way, it lets the air out. And 35.3, that's good enough for me. I'm going to stop right there. So this tire is ready to go and ready to get reinstalled. Don't forget to unplug your air compressor and put it away. Let's go ahead and get this guy back on the car. Alrighty. I think you guys can see that pretty good from there. Oh my goodness. Whew. This one's not too heavy compared to like my truck or the Suburban. Suburban ones are pretty heavy. Oops, be careful, don't damage your wheels like I just did. And I did it 3 times. So what I'm trying to do right now is I'm trying to get the studs lined up with the holes for the lug nuts. But I was going in at too much of an angle, and so I wasn't catching it properly. So I don't know if you can see my feet. I hope you can. I'm using my feet to help lift it, and I'm using old shoes. These are my work shoes. Using my feet to help lift it and push it in place. And then once I kind of get it where it needs to go, I keep my foot there to keep holding it. So now I'm going to take my lug nuts, and I'm going to start these by hand. Never go at it straight with power tools, because you will cross thread them. And then you have to put new studs in and get new lug nuts. If you need to, you can take the socket and stick it on there. If you can't get your fingers down in the hole. These ones go in just fine. So now what I'm going to do is get it flat against the surface there, and I'm just going to gently run these in just a little bit, maybe a click or two. That's it. Make sure when you do this, if you do it like this, make sure the socket is all the way in, and also make sure you use a 6-sided socket. Don't use a 12-point, just use a 6-point. Use the right size. If you use a 12-point, you're going to damage the decorative cover that's over the nut. So that's what happened with these. Several of them are damaged all the way up and down, and then on the other side they're so damaged I had a hard time getting the tool on, and then I had a hard time getting them off of the socket. And I even used a slightly bigger socket, and they don't look too damaged, but they're damaged enough to where they don't properly fit. You need like a half size, really. So anyhow, now that those are about to that level, I'm gonna lay it down just enough to where it just touches and might, you know, maybe goes down another 1/8 of an inch just to give enough force to hold that wheel against the ground. Okay, so the tire is now just barely touching the ground. So these are 100 foot-pounds. Let me go get my torque wrench and we'll get these torqued to spec. If you don't have a torque wrench, you can get a relatively inexpensive one. I get them from Harbor Freight. Let's go ahead and get that. We'll get this guy torqued to spec. Alrighty. So there's my torque wrench. This is actually in foot-pounds. And what I find with this is if I go like this, that's 10 pounds. 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. So I should be really close to 100. A little over. Actually, we're a little over. A little more than usual. So anyway, it's just a little trick to get there quick without having to sit there and try to watch it. So if you can see that, it does say 100 foot-pounds. Don't forget to tighten your little dial on the bottom. So what that does is it pushes these little teeth up in some notches and it keeps this handle from turning. I know because I've taken one apart because I accidentally, as I was using it, the bottom unscrewed and the little parts inside fell out. I did get it back together and it does work. And it is calibrated very, very close. All right, guys, I lost something already. Do you guys see? Oh, there it is. There it is. I've got an extension here because without the extension, my hands hit around the edge of the car. So I use an extension and then I use the socket. And then we're going to do a star pattern. All right, so, you know, the thing they taught you in kindergarten, how to draw a 5-point star. Back, I mean, we don't have to go back, obviously. And it doesn't matter where you start. It doesn't matter if you go this way or this way. It just doesn't matter as long as you're doing a star pattern. So I'm just going to start here. All right. And we're going to go do a star. We're going to go right here. And number 5. And if you want, you can go back, double check. Whoop, we went a little past, but you know what? It's not a big deal. You go a little past, you do 110 pounds, whatever, you're not going to hurt anything. You get up, you're going 200, 250, you're going to snap a nut off. And you don't want to snap a nut off. That'll be a very painful experience to have to take all that apart and redo it. Alrighty, Kevin is soaking wet. Like every inch of me is soaking wet. And I tell you what, this isn't even a hot day. 91 is nothing in this area. I think the problem is there's no breeze, so there's nothing to cool you off. And I can't do my usual fan. I have 20-inch fans I usually have out. And I can't do that because they're too loud to be filmed. And finally, let's let this guy down. Let's let it down. So the way this one works is you just grab the handle and you turn it. So you give it a turn to the left. I like to just give it a turn, but I like to slowly release it. That's a little creaky. And we're done. Oh my goodness, guys, it is so hot out here. I am so sweaty. So that's that one. I'm going to go ahead and do the other ones. I am not going to film it. It is starting to get dark and I'm running out of time. And when you film something like this, it turns a 15 to 20 minute job into a 3-hour job. So I don't have that amount of time. So I'm going to go ahead and do those. It's exactly the same. If you want to see it done 3 more times, just go ahead and rewind the video and watch it 3 more times, because it's exactly the same. It's nothing different. So anyhow, let me get to going on the other ones. Hopefully I'll get done before dark. And what we'll do after that is we'll get them programmed, and I will show you how to program them. So stay tuned. And guys, a tip to make this a lot easier to seat when you're filling it with air is to use either some tire mounting compound or get just a little bit of soap and water, like some Dawn dish soap or some other type of dish soap. Mix up a little bit of soapy water and you can just rub it in there with your fingers if you want to. You don't need a lot, just enough to lube it up so it doesn't catch and cause any issues. Generally it won't if you do this dry, but I like to give it a little tire lube. Let's go ahead and do that. So I just use a chip brush. These you can get from, like Harbor Freight for a few bucks for a giant box with a whole bunch of them in it. So just take that, and it doesn't have to be a lot. I'm just gonna run it right along there like that. Get a little more if you want to. Just enough to help it slide on there. Be careful not to scratch your wheel paint with this metal. So hopefully I did not. You just don't want to chip all that paint off and cause any corrosion or make it look bad. So that is it. Probably best to not store that in your detached garage with no air conditioning. But it still works even though it has changed color and consistency. It still holds together really well. All right, so let's go ahead and remove the core from this one. And we need to get some air in it. So this is number 4 out of 4, and I'm just showing you this part because I did not show you the tire compound on the other one because I forgot to even install it with tire compound. But this one we're using tire compound. Let's go ahead and see if this thing seats. There it goes. Oh, boom. Let's see what PSI we hit. Not even readable. It's so low. Okay, it was under 7. It took it about 10 or 11 PSI to seat it the last time. So you can see that compound helps a lot. So we're gonna take this off. We're gonna put our valve back in, and we're gonna fill this guy to spec. So let's get this to 35 PSI. And you might as well stick around. We'll go ahead and show you this part. Perfect. Oh my goodness, oh my goodness. Somebody hit the wheel on something. Here we go. Alrighty. That sweat is getting in my eyeballs and it burns. Okay guys, that's it. All done. No, I'm just kidding. I'm going to show you how to program them. Let it down slowly. Like so. That back is creaky. Something is creaky back there for sure. Alright, I'm going to go wash my hands first. Okay guys. It is toasty in here. Yes, I'm driver 2. So there's our tire monitor system message. Service tire monitor system. And there's our flashing tire light. So I'm going to dismiss these messages. I'm going to go through this menu. So what I'm doing is using these buttons right here to go through this menu. Sorry if that was a bad cut. For some reason, the lens was blurry. Or actually, that might be my glasses. Oh my goodness. I've got heat delirium or something going on here. All right. So as I was saying, cycle through here. I don't know if I can get both. Yeah, we can get both. So hit this down or up button until you see your tire pressure screen. All right. So now you're going to press and hold the check button in the middle. So now we are in tire learn mode. So let's quickly do this before we time out. Quick like a bunny. All right, so the way this works, see in the front here, that light's on right there? That tells you which one to do first. You got to get yourself a tool like this. This one's the EL50448, and this is the learn tool for this particular car. And our learn process timed out. I got to go turn it back on. All right, so we're learning again. The light is on over here, and then actually the light is on the mirror too over here, which you can't see. So you're going to take your tool, you're going to hold the button while you have it right about here. All right, so that one is now programmed. Let's move around to this side. So now you can see we are at the front passenger side. We're going to do the same thing. Now we're going to do the rear passenger side. And as you can see, that light is on right there. Let me see if you can see that light while I'm doing this. You'll see the light turn off. And come around here, and we'll do the last one. As you can see, the light is on. And that single honk told us we did this one, and then the double honk told us we're done. So now all the sensors are properly programmed. Now let's go inside and see what they show. So that was 100% successful. We are now properly programmed with our new sensors, and the car is happy, hopefully for another, how old is this? 2016, hopefully for another 8 or 9 years, just like the original ones. Oh my goodness, guys. So I am beat. I don't know about you guys, but holy cow. Going from 60s to 90s, which seems like overnight, just takes a lot out of your body. I mean, I am beat. But anyway, guys, that is the process for replacing the tire sensors on a 2016 Chevrolet Malibu. Pretty easy process. Doesn't require a lot of special tools, torque wrench, and the little tool to install the valve installation tool, the valve stem installation tool. What else do you need that you normally wouldn't have? Oh, the tire changing machine. For me, that's a must to do this. If you don't have that, you're kind of just hacking the job. And if you're trying to do it like some of the videos show where you're pressing a piece of 2x4 against the tire, you're not getting it on the bead here, and you can tear the edge of your tire here. You can damage your tire, you can stretch it, you can cause all sorts of issues with it. So highly recommended to use a manual tire changing machine like that one I have. They're not very expensive. So I think that was really the only special stuff. Soap and water around the bead. You don't need that goo that I used. That's really it. Very easy job. So hopefully that will help you guys for deciding if you want to do this job yourself. I've done many of these. I've replaced probably, I don't know, 40 of these sensors over the years in various cars. I have 6 cars, 7 if you include my Mustang that's in here on the rotisserie. Obviously that doesn't have TPMS, but when I'm done with it, it will have TPMS. So you can actually get add-on TPMS sensors that you can actually stick either on the outside of the valve stem, and they have ones that you can mount on the inside, and then either using your phone you can monitor the pressures through Bluetooth, or through an external device that either sits on the dash and uses solar to charge it, or plugs in somewhere to like your cigarette lighter or whatever you call them nowadays, if your car even has those anymore. I don't even know if they even put those in cars anymore. So anyway, if you want to tackle this yourself, as you can see in this video, it's not really a hard job. I'd say it takes 15 minutes per tire if you're not filming it like I am, and it's just a simple job. I mean, oh, also, you need that programming tool to program the new sensors to the car, because it doesn't work with doing the air in and air out to programming them. I did not test to see if it worked once they're programmed. I know on some of my other vehicles in the manual it specifically says after you've rotated your tires, you need to reprogram them. You can let the air out or add air in to do it. A lot of the modern owner's manuals do not even say that anymore. They only say that you have to use a tool to do it. But I have heard of people still being able to do it, even though the manual does not say you can't. All right, guys, that's all I had. I hope you found that helpful. I hope you enjoyed watching that. And as always, thank you guys for watching. Kevin's Way Works.
Uh-oh.